Welcome back here. This is going to be episode 4, and we can see we are at the first year draft. Before we get into that, real quick, I realized I didn't go over the All Star Game roster, so I'll go over that really quick. Like I said, our lone representative in the All Star Game is Jackson Ferris. He's deserving. Garrett Crochet is the starter for Boston. You can make an argument it should have been George Kirby instead, with a 2.83 ERA, lower ERA, more WAR on the season. But at least he wasn't snubbed as far as an All Star bid goes. Looking at these names here, not a whole lot of other surprising names that I can see. Christian Campbell continuing to do quite well for Boston. Gunnar Henderson is injured, currently in rehab in AAA right now, so he'll be back soon for the Orioles. Texas, we went over them in the last episode. Almost the entire starting outfield is Texas, and their third outfielder made it as well. So, yeah, lots of Texas representation, which is not surprising, given that they're the best team in baseball right now. And then in the NL, Paul Skeens doing quite well. Yamamoto doing quite well. Drew Romo, OOTP Beast, is the starting catcher, as well as Condon. Nico Horner gets an all-star bid for the Cubs, which is nice to see as a Cubs fan. Junior Caminero continuing to do well. Yeah. O'Neal Cruz playing center now for the Pirates, which is interesting. I don't know if they made that shift in real life as well, or I've only ever seen him as an infielder. So let's see. Michael Harris, 6 WAR season. Is he leading the league in WAR? Yeah, 6.1 batter WAR right now. On pace for an 11 WAR season with an OPS over 1,000. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that because that's pretty astounding. Yeah, 6 WAR at the All Star break is no joke. That's like peak Otani season. Speaking of Otani, he made it as well. All right. First year player draft. I haven't done a dive into this yet, so you'll be seeing it as the first time as I see it. Again, we have the 8th overall pick because of weird draft lottery things. We were slotted for number 2, and then several other teams jumped us with the lottery. So even though we're an expansion team, we have the 8th overall pick. So strategy-wise, we have. I can kind of tweak the budget a little bit. We have a bit to spend. 8 million budget room currently, and that's with a draft budget of $20 million, which is over our slot amounts. So we don't really have to worry too much about that. If we're drafting guys over slot, we're basically going to be taking best player available at every pick. We don't have to worry about filling positions of need because, everything is a position of need for us. So, yeah, let's see our draft pool here. If we go to all players, yeah, our scout has average accuracy on most guys, has high on a few guys. Some of the guys that we really liked in the combines, guys like Mark Lane, who, is someone who I'd consider taking, mainly because of his power, 85 potential power, and the fact that he has started to develop a little bit as a hitter. His defense is not great, but that's something you can always train up over time, with the development lab, which is, at least in past games, has been easier to develop. I know they made defense a little harder to train in this version, but still something we might look to do. So he's a name I kind of want to watch. Mock draft. I do like the draft in this year. Shows you where everyone's kind of projected to go, which is something I use heavily. Like, in previous games, and now you can kind of see it at a glance. And I do like that change a lot. Kyle Reed's still projected to go first overall. He's got 95 potential power as well, and yeah, he's someone who will likely go quite high. Ditto Mike Sanders. Yeah, I can see most of these guys going high to the CPU. We'll also look at guys like Eric Collins, who is somewhat developed already, a little bit with 1.5 star potential. You know, he's only 18. His control is not great, but he is someone who you'd not hate drafting here. I think he's got 4 pitches and projects to be, you know, quite good if he can get his control up as well. Let's see. I know we had thrown several guys on a short list as well during the combine. So your Tommy Viscontis are someone who I'd consider as well. You know, guys who have 4.5 star potential and are already somewhat developed. He is 21. Ideally, I'd start him at A and go from there. I don't hate like a pick like that, and in fact, that might be the smart pick. But again, we have no talent whatsoever in our minors right now, so I don't mind taking a bigger swing for guys with slightly higher potential. I mean, Visconti has good potential, but yeah, the thing that sucks is most likely, given that we pick at 8 and then we don't have any comp picks or anything, we do pick high in round 2. But a lot of those guys on our short list will be gone after the 8th pick. So let's see. Let's get into Draft Central, and I'll go through one pick at a time for the start of the draft, and then we'll kind of just go from there. I don't plan on doing the entire draft on camera, although I will likely make most picks manually, just because that's how I like to do things. So, all right. We'll start with the Twins, who have first overall pick. They are expected to take Kyle Reed first overall, and they do. Kyle Reed is the first overall pick. Mike Sanders is projected to go next for the Guardians, and he does. So far, it's a chalk draft. The Royals take, Mark Lane. Okay, so we'll have to pivot a little bit. He is not going to be available at our pick. I don't know if necessarily he would have been the pick for us, but we might look more towards someone in the Eric Collins range then. All right. Nashville Stars, our expansion team rivals, take Dan Hearn. So far, a lot of like slugging first, third baseman types that have been the top 4 picks in the draft. Let's see. Tommy Visconti, who is the other name I really liked, goes high as well. Okay, this is why the 8th pick is rough. All right, Blue Jays, Drew Brahman, another slugging outfield type. And then Detroit, Ryan Gibson, another guy we had on our short list. It's a name I really liked. Okay. So, where do we go here? If we go to our short list, and let's look at batting draft. There we go. All right, let's look at batters first. Brady Gerhart. He's a name. If I could nab him in the 2nd round, I'd be really happy with that. I don't know if I love him as my 1st round pick. Scott Sharpton isn't bad with 4.5 star potential. He doesn't super wow me either, but all of these ratings are pretty high already. He's someone who could start at A ball. Maybe I'd start him Lower? No, I'd probably start him in A ball just because I think the lowest level of the minor leagues doesn't play after the draft. So we want to get him playing time. We want him to develop if he starts at A. And then going to our pitchers here. I never saved my draft view for pitchers, so I'll have to remake that, unfortunately. But that should be fast. I guess I can go over to what I like to look for. I like to see their overall, just so I can kind of gauge where they're at in their development. I like work ethic and baseball IQ. Those are both good personality traits to look for in your players. Obviously, demand is going to be important. Not necessarily this year, but in other years, see where they're at in terms of slot for you. And then we also want to see relationship, and I guess how does league interest correspond with like where they're going to go in the draft? Because someone like Mark Lohman doesn't have super great ratings, but has very high league interest and a very strong relationship with us. As I record this, it's been several days. Like I recorded the last episode over the course of several days. So I'm kind of rediscovering some of these guys as I look at them. I know Eric Collins was a guy I looked at and liked. Phil Areola, great name. Gasca was someone I liked as well. The only thing I don't like is that he's 22, almost 23 already. So he's someone who will probably look to nab in a later round. Chris Johnson is 19, but looks solid overall. Ratings wise, I do like Eric Collins. The 45 potential controls scares me, and the fact that it's only 20 currently also scares me. I think we might go bats first. Oh, I just did it again, where I did not save my... All right. One more time. Let's do this. Potential, work ethic, baseball IQ. I also forgot to throw in BABIP and home run rate. I like to see those individual ratings as well. And we wanted to do demand, and we wanted to see relationship and league interest. Okay. And now let's save this view. Okay. So Mark Lohman only has 40 stamina too, which is not the worst, but it's not the best either. I think you can sit here and pick apart these prospects. I think none of them are perfect. At the eighth pick, Scott Sharpton is someone who I think really appeals to me, where he doesn't particularly have anything that he's excelling at here, but he doesn't really have any weaknesses either that I can see. He has solid defense, solid speed, solid batting ratings. He is durable. Signability is easy, which means we can get away with paying him less money and potentially drafting higher demand guys in the next few rounds. So I think Scott Sharpton is going to be the pick here. And he's got decent outfield ratings as well. We'd probably still look to play him infield with those kind of ratings. He could play shortstop in a pinch, but would probably project as more of a second or third baseman. And he's somewhat developed already, which means that, he's going to be the pick. Okay. let's auto draft through the top 10, and then I'll just go ahead and auto draft into my next pick after that. Who goes right after? Justin Mosier. Another, hey, slugging outfield or first, third baseman type. That's almost everyone else that's been taken has been of that type for the, yeah, CPU loves those guys this year. Wow. Okay. Phil Fleckenstein, also a great name. Oh, and Illinois State University, from my hometown of Normal, Illinois. Uh, love to see this representation there in the MLB draft. Okay, so let's auto draft into our next pick. Okay, Eric Collins is off the board. In fact, he went 11th pick. Who are some other guys we had on our short list here? Let's go ahead and do. Okay, so in terms of guys that have been drafted, we've got Mark Lane obviously went high, Visconti, Gibson, those guys all went before us. We took Sharpton. Collins was drafted. Chris Johnson was taken with the next pick. Gaskin in the late first round. Will Hoyt and Benson. So out of our short list of guys here, this is it. All right. DeJesus, Kristen, Ariola, Gerhard, Lohman. I think I said Gerhard was someone who I'd look at in the second round, and I have a hard time imagining, you know, if he. Where is he projected to go? Our scout likes Daniel Massiel. I don't particularly. Let's see. Gerhard. Trying to see where he's projected to go in the draft. If he's someone who I could potentially, try to wait another round on. I don't see his name in here. Unless I'm just missing it here. Nope. Okay, well, draft pipeline. I think he's still, my top pick potentially here. DeJesus is interesting. He has really high ratings. He's someone who we might look to grab here sometime in the first 5 picks because he is someone who our scout really likes and OSA does not really like. Potentially kind of a gem type player for us, but also really low overall, so we'll look to develop him if we draft him. Phil Ariola, how does he look? He looks okay. Then Kirsten. I do like the fact that he has 5 pitches and has a little bit of development overall. I mean, his stuff is not amazing at the moment, but has the potential to develop, has 80 potential for control. Yeah, I mean, Gerhard, I think, is someone who he is 21 again, but we don't have a lot of depth in outfield, and he is someone who, again, like our first round pick, doesn't have a lot of strengths, but also doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, and so I don't necessarily hate that pick, especially for a second round pick. And he's a little overslot in terms of his demand, but again, we've got money to burn this year, so I'm not too concerned about that. Let's go ahead and draft Gerhard with our second pick. All right, an auto draft. Okay, those pitchers are gone. Who else? Yeah, Kirsten went, and then Lohman went with the first pick in the third round. So, draft pool. Let's go ahead and clear our filter and see what we're looking at here. Obviously, DeJesus is someone who I'd highly consider. We haven't got any pitching yet, so pitching might be an area to potentially look at. I like to kind of balance it, typically. Arriola was a guy that we looked at. Rainville is an interesting name. Yeah, again, that control really scares me. Got amazing stuff in movement, really bad control, but control is something you could potentially raise in the development lab. So guys like this, you don't necessarily hate because they're one weakness, and thinking about it too, control is not one of the hardest things to raise. So if we can successfully raise that up, get his control to a passable level, then he could be an amazing pitcher. The alternative would be someone like Phil Arriola, who just looks solid all around and has good personality traits. 3-pitch mix and decent potential with all of his main ratings. But only 17 years old, too. And Rainville is 18. Okay. Craig Holman has really high movement, which I like. Really low stuff in control, which I don't like. But I think movement and HRA specifically is quite good in this version. He's a name to consider. And I liked Rainville as well. Let's take a glance at the draft for batters. Who's left? DeJesus, our scout loves. We've got 2 highly rated catchers as well. Or catchers with high potential, I should say. One is more of a slugging archetype, which means the CPU will probably take him. And one is more of a defensive, contact first kind of guy, who are typically the guys I like to go for over pure power. Let's see. There's a few guys left with high work ethic. DeJesus is one. And where do I look to draft someone like DeJesus? I think maybe I go one more round and then grab him in the 4th. Just because there's such a huge difference between OSA and my scouts ratings that I think it's decently likely he'll be there. I think I kind of want to take a pitcher here. There's a lot of good ones available. Maybe even grab one of these 3 pitchers with the 3rd. See if a second one is still there at pick 4th round. And try to grab DeJesus with the 5th overall, or 5th round pick. I think I like that. And out of these 3, I think we've kind of taken a safe pick with our first 2 rounds. We're going to go with Eddie Rainville here. He is a lefty, too. He could be amazing if his control can be raised. So he's going to be in the development lab every year working on control. And if we can get that up, he could be an amazing starting pitcher um, with 85 potential stuff. Yeah. Um, this is the classic. We can fix him, I swear. But, we're going to take a shot on him because, we're bad and we need talent. So what do I have to lose at this point? Not a whole lot. We're going to draft him. All right. And will one of these guys, both of these guys, still here? Is DeJesus still there? Yes. Okay. So, who do I like more between Areola and Holman? Both have good personality traits. Let's go to pitching draft. Slightly more stamina. They both have good stamina. Money wise, oh, well, that might be a deal breaker there because Ariel is currently impossible to sign. And he was one too that I think we looked at, if relationship got higher, if that would be something that could make his demand not impossible for us. But I don't want to take a guy with impossible signing at the fourth round. So we're going to shoot for Holman, and then hopefully DeJesus will still be there waiting in the 5th round for us. And he is. Okay. That's a guy that's, bad outfield or bad defensive ratings, not particularly speedy, but has some really good hitting potential. And again, could be a gem if our scout is right. Could be a bust if he's not, but I don't hate that. Okay. Ooh. Okay, that's interesting. In the 6th round, I probably won't do too many more on camera here. Yeah, Contreras is listed as a starting pitcher, but he's really more of a reliever. But he projects quite well. I don't necessarily hate that as a 3rd round pick or 6th round pick. Dyson, slugging catcher with good ratings, is already 21, which I don't love, and only 3-star potential and less than a half-star overall. These red stars, by the way, are, if they're rated at less than a half-star potential, they show red stars 1 through 5 instead to kind of give you, a little bit more granular breakdown of, where they're currently at in terms of rating, which is nice. I do still like to use, just out of habit, what their ratings are relative to different levels in the minors, and you can kind of see, okay, if he played at the ACL, he'd be relatively a 1.5-star player, which is not great for an age 21 catcher. Ideally, he'd be someone who I'd want to play at A, where he's, again, in a 1.5-star player. I like to look for guys that are like at least 2-star overall potential. But yeah. Batting draft. Let's see. These guys, Adam Bishop. He's also impossible to sign. So does that mean, I guess that means someone took Areola, because he's no longer out there, taking a chance that they'll be able to sign the impossible to sign guy. I think I still like Contreras if his 40 is like right on the borderline of being a usable pitch. I mean, ideally you want it to be 50 or more. So with a little bit of development and luck, he could turn into a starting pitcher. He could also just be a solid reliever, but 6th round, and he's a lefty. Yeah, I don't hate that as a 6th round pick. And we're kind of getting to the point too where there's not a lot of exciting picks left here, I think. Going into the seventh round, Justin Grant is someone who, yeah, who defensive shortstop. I actually really like him. For a seventh round pick, he is not very well developed, but he has great defensive ratings to start and pretty solid offensive rating too. So I'll nab him. And it's the seventh round now, eighth round, so kind of gonna go with you know, it's based on a lot of vibes at this point more than anything. Um, you can kind of see what our scout suggests. I don't really love Tome Hurst, although that's a great name. Yeah, I think we reached the point where I'll probably just do the rest of the draft off camera here and then show you an overview of who we drafted at the end and go from there. Yeah, so I will see you guys soon. All right, so just finished up the draft here, and you can see nothing too exciting. I think our last pick on camera was either Contreras or Fugate. Fugate, not a bad pick, honestly, for the seventh round. And mainly just went with a mix here of decent guys here in the middle rounds. We'll see how this kind of goes all the way through Eric Lehamadou in the 20th round. I like to pick guys with kind of fun names in the last round, and whoever, kind of a mix of a fun name and a guy that could potentially be a good player, which, I mean, his control sucks, but we'll see. If it's always fun when those guys make it, to me. So we'll go ahead and go to signing here. I don't know if this is interesting to anyone, but I do like to, a lot of these guys are extremely hard signability, which means we'll just be offering whatever they ask for. Our top picks are not, though, so we'll negotiate a little bit, and we'll see if he'll take 6.5 million. Gerhard wants 4. We'll offer him just 3.5 million. And submit that. Extremely hard for Eddie Rainville. We'll just give him what he wants. Extremely hard for Holman. We'll give him what he wants. And we have plenty of budget left over, so we don't really need to play super hardball with these guys. Very easy. I'm not even going to bother adjusting that for De Jesus. And all of these guys are extremely hard, so we'll just offer what they want. Okay, so let's go ahead and go. I will go ahead and add these guys to my prospects list, and can see kind of slim pickings on there after I get to that point. See if we need to manually move some of these guys up to A. As we go back to the previous screen. There we go. No. All right. OOTP has a lot of, okay. A lot of fun things about that. Let's see. Amari Matthews. Okay, so a lot of these guys are probably already on our prospects list. I like to just tag people that have 2.5 star or more potential and are less than 25 years old. So we'll do that now, and yep, that should be everybody. Okay, and then one thing real quick. I think we want, and potential is at least 2.5 stars. We'll see if there's any other guys here. Yeah, you can see most of these guys are not yeah, we have a total of 18 guys that fit that criteria in our minors right now. So if we go to prospects, we'll get a little bit of a boost once we get these guys signed. But if we go by level here, all right, these are all of our new draft picks that have yet to be signed, or I think there might be a few. Contreras is one. No, he's a guy that we just drafted. So there might be a few international guys. A lot of our roster is these prospecty type guys. Class A can probably get removed from this. He's 26 now. Same with several of these guys. Brooksley is 27. What are you doing on here, Brooksley? But yeah, at AAA, we've got Bello, Baez, who is our waiver pick. He's doing okay. Chalas, he's not doing well. Churio also not doing well. Cutter Coffee is a guy who might get called up. He's cooled off a little bit, but he's on our 40 man, and we'll probably look to trade some guys here shortly. Correa has come on strong after his rehab stint. Encarnacion might get called up at some point. He's put up together a solid season. Oviedo started the year and the majors didn't do too well. Has not pitched a ton so far in AAA, but he's another guy who could potentially get called up. I think he's still on our 40 man. Richie, kind of same. No, he actually hasn't pitched yet in the majors this year, but I think he's also on our 40 man. Selvage has been okay. Snelling, yeah. So I mean, we don't have any guys in Double A, only 2 guys in A, and then a bunch in rookie ball, which a lot of these are guys that we just drafted. Yeah, you can see draft round. So yeah, any of these guys need to move up to A. Schrader is one, I think, that could go up to A and do okay there. And who else do we have down here in rookie ball? We've got. We'll just go ahead and set ratings relative to. What league do we have here? This is the California League, I believe. Yeah, California League. I don't think it makes a huge difference which A league you select, but I like to be, somewhat. I think there is maybe a slight amount of difference there. So, any of these guys, Stamba. He's only 18, so I'll start him in the minors for now, in rookie league ball, that is. And we'll go ahead and lock these guys in place so they don't get moved around. Yeah, and I like to manually manage the 2.5 star prospects in my minors. I know some people just don't let CPU do everything. I like to at least do that, and then I'll set up the minor league system, and we'll see. We've got 50 guys here. It does go through and cut some of these guys. You might see them floating around here in the DFA section. But next up, we're going to look to trade some guys. Again, top of that list, Mitch Keller. He's a guy that we only have signed through this season. He's definitely trade bait. Sinja, if we could get good return for him, maybe. Kelly's another guy who's at the top of the list. Matsui we could potentially bring back through arbitration, but he's also 32, so look to trade him. Simillo, if someone wants him, he's kind of cooled off. And then we've got some guys in AAA like Williamson, maybe Arenado if he's got any value. So I'll kind of do some shopping around and see if there are any trade offers that are interesting. If they are, I'll bring those up here and kind of be simming through the next few weeks. I'll definitely do the actual trade deadline on camera too. But I'll kind of cut in with any interesting trade offers or if there's any major injuries before then as well. So let's see how this goes. All right, I'm back here with the first big trade offer we've got. You can see we're about a week out from the trading deadline. Not a lot of interest in Mitch Keller. Really, the only team that showed a lot of interest. The Orioles had a little bit of interest in him, but the Twins were the team that I decided to go with just because they had the best on offer here. You can see we're going to have to retain about 70% of his salary, which is, fine. It's only 1 year. And again, money is not a huge deal for us at the moment. The Twins are offering us Yasser Mercedes, which he's 23, going to turn 24 soon. You know, probably not going to get too much higher than this, but we hope for a little bit more development from him, and he could be, a solid outfielder that we can use. We have no outfield depth at the moment. Gabriel Gonzalez should also help with that. He is doing quite well at AAA. In fact, has done decently well at AAA for the last few seasons. Must just be kind of blocked in the Twins system right now. Also under 25, so maybe we'll develop a little bit more. He might come up and immediately start for us, or after we're done with trading deadline trades, do so. And then the rest of the guys on here are kind of throw-in type guys. Boedas has decent potential, but is over 25, so we'll see if he actually reaches that. Type of guy that's worth taking a flyer on. Ditto with Crisantes. He's only 23, but how much more is he actually going to develop? We'll see. And then Moscasco. Yep. And, he's kind of a throw-in type player too. So not a great return for Mitch Keller, but, with the type of season he's had, we weren't going to expect anything super amazing for him either. So we'll go ahead and complete that trade. And I'll have to make some roster adjustments here to fill in our pitching rotation. Probably just going to call up someone that's on the 40-man because I want to put Gabriel Gonzalez on there as well. So let's see who we've got here. Selvage, Snelling. Snelling has done quite well, actually. Correa could come up, but he needs a spot on the 40-man. Snelling or Selvage. And out of these two, I think Selvage. No, Snelling has Major League Service time already, so let's go with him. And we will throw Gonzalez. We'll place on the 40-man and send down to AAA for now. Because, I don't need to call him up at the moment. But he likely will soon. So, let's go ahead and keep Sim in here. We'll see if there's any other good trades in our future. Still looking to trade some of our bullpen away most likely, and we'll see what we can get for maybe some guys like Williamson or Arenado in the minors as well. All right, got another trade here. We got Ben Williamson on the move to the Houston Astros, offering again some decent prospects. No one amazingly exciting here. Gomez and Jaworski are the top two picks from here. Both of these guys are 23, and Jaworski's about to turn 24, but give us a little more depth in our minors, give us some guys with a little bit of potential, still potentially some room to develop too. Bello and Pena, these are more throw-in type guys, guys who could come up and pitch in the majors potentially in the next year or two, or maybe even this year. And then Phillips is a guy that's kind of interesting. They have him in rookie league ball still, but his ratings look a lot better than what would you'd expect from a player in that type of position. He does have low work ethic, but he's kind of a throw in as well. See if he actually manages to develop. And Williamson, he's had a good year in AAA, but he is 27. He's not part of our long term plans, so I don't mind flipping him to a team like the Astros, who are, I believe, contending. Well, they're 48 and 51, but they could make a run and go for the playoffs. So we're gonna do it, and complete that trade. All right, we'll see who else we can flip here for some prospects. Back with another trade here. It's the closest to a blockbuster trade that we've got so far. Kevin Kelly, who is currently our closer, and Miguel Vargas, who is currently our, backup first baseman, for a haul of prospects from the Orioles, headlined by Steven Martinez. He's only 20 years old. He's got 3-star potential. I like his look a lot. He's a guy that could develop a lot for us. Eddie Aguilar, really young starting pitcher. Will he develop? I don't know, but he's definitely a guy worth taking a chance on. Gavin Jones, another guy who looks really interesting. He's got high work ethic too. He's still only 23, so got some room to develop. And again, weirdly, the CPU has him down in rookie league ball when he could probably play at, at least A ball. Although the one start he's had in A, small sample size. So yeah, I'll bump him up likely after trading for him. The rest of these guys, Rangel is a little bit interesting too. He's only 22. Again, probably can play above rookie league ball. Bullho is, still a long ways away, but also only 17. And Mordon is depth. So pretty solid haul, I'd say, for these two guys who we weren't looking to bring back anyway. And we will go ahead and make that trade. Also save a little bit of money by doing so. Again, not that money is a huge concern here. So we maybe look to make 1 or 2 more trades here and then head to the trading deadline, and I'll kind of see what offers we get then. But yeah, let's see who else we can shop around here. All right, so nothing too exciting here. I haven't made any other trades, but just going to give a brief overview of where everything kind of stands at the moment. With our major league club, we are going to move Snelling. Snelling got called up. Gibson's going to move back into the rotation because he's done well in relief and long relief. Did call up Selvage to fill another long relief role. Sinja moves from setup to our new closer. Our new setup guys are Benua and Matsui, who's done well so far. Let's see if he can continue to do well in a setup role. Maybe still look to trade him. Maybe keep him on because we could bring him back in arbitration. We'll kind of see what offers we get for him. In fact, let's just go ahead and, I can't shop him at the moment. So, I think everything else has stayed largely the same here. Lineup wise, we did go ahead and call up Gonzalez to play outfield. He's done well in AAA. He's 24. Might as well see how he does in the majors. That's filling Brooks Lee's and Vargas's spot, who we just traded. And kind of have shuffled stuff around a little bit. Gonzalez is going to DH and play left field depending on lefty or righty matchup. Not a whole lot else has changed. Samilo, I think I shopped and didn't really get much in response. I'll keep looking for offers for some of these guys. Otherwise, I'll just probably sim to the trade deadline and see, what kind of offers the CPUs throw at us. And I'll probably do that live on camera just because that can be a fun thing to go through. So we'll roll for the next week with this lineup unless any other trades are made, which I'll cut in and show that. Otherwise, we will sim to the trade deadline. We are now at the trade deadline. Did get this interesting proposal from the Rockies for Yuki Matsui. Caden Sorrell, he's right on the borderline of someone I'd consider. Ultimately, he didn't put up amazing numbers in rookie league ball. He is 23 and a half ish. You know, I'll try to hold out and see if I can get something better for him. He is putting up pretty good numbers this year, and I'd like to get someone at least a little bit better. Jose Garcia is, kind of a throw in here. I don't think he will really be much of anything. Let's go ahead and do the trade deadline. No other big moves have been made. So we'll see here. Trade proposal from the Mariners. Again, would like a little bit more for Matsui. Like, I'm fine hanging on to Matsui too because we can't bring him back in arbitration next year. He'd take $3 million next year in arbitration again for a reliever. That's not awful, especially since he's been having a pretty decent season so far. So let's go ahead and go back to the trading deadline screen. There's a few other interesting offers that have kind of left out there. This one for Church and Richardson. The CPU seems pretty interested in Mark Church. The prospects they're offering aren't bad, but I kind of want to just see what he's got. Like, his ratings are good. And he's been putting up solid numbers in both AAA and AA. He's someone I'll probably call up at some point just to see how he does in the majors. He is 27, but he could be decent for a few years. So we'll see. And then I've showed the two offers for Matsui already. Nothing really jumping out at me as like I need to jump on this deal immediately. So let's go ahead and continue, see if we get any other interesting offers. We get no offers there. And so far, the Reds have traded. I guess we can look and see here if there's any other interesting trades. Johnny Brito goes to the Braves. Yusei Kikuchi to the Brewers. He was on the Royals. Kevin Gausman to the Giants for some prospects. Joe Musgrove to the Rockies. Steven Matz to the Raiders. Blue Raiders, my apologies. Blake Trinan goes to Nsime on the move again for a minor league third baseman. Okay, that's an interesting trade, I guess. Like, why are you making that trade if you're the Expos? And in contention, I don't know. The CPU trading is weird sometimes. They like to make trades sometimes just for the hell of it, it seems like. Tanner Scott to the Cardinals. I guess the Dodgers are sellers this year. Don't really get much of a return for him either, when he's been having a decent season. Alec Boehm to the Cubs. Was previously on the Braves, man. So he's moved around a little bit. He's kind of, a quad A guy at this point, it looks like. Oh, and here are some of our trades that I went over earlier. So, all right, let's see. Advance the trade deadline day, see if we get any other interesting offers. We do get a offer. Let's see. I think it did that thing where, we got an offer from the Cubs that, well, we have several offers here. Okay, so let's go through them real quick. Bieber and Ruiz for Narvaez and Gavin Jones, who was one of the guys we just traded for him. Yeah, I mean, Bieber's interesting. That's not a trade I want to do. It's just not. Mariners. Braun for Church and Swartz. Again, I'd want a little more probably for Church. Yankees want Mark Church and Chase Jaworski, who is again one of the guys we just traded for. And what are they offering? Not much in return. Yeah, I would never want to make that trade. Cubs are offering David Hogg the second, great name, and Zeus Nunez, also great name. Yeah, the CPU teams are really interested in Church, but I just don't want to trade him for that return. Another trade for Yuki Matsui, and also Lauki Jr., who's been putting up decent numbers in A+. And the prospect they're offering is not very exciting. Okay, so not getting much in the in terms of interesting offers from anyone. Yeah, and I'm not going to make a trade just to make a trade either. So yeah, let's see if we continue the trade deadline day. If we get any other interesting offers here, and we get something, let's see. Giants are offering Carabello. See, that's at least something. I mean, he is purely a reliever with 25 stamina. He has not been putting up great numbers in AA, but it is just a 1-for-1 trade with Church. It at least makes me think about it. This one I'm not interested in. Tigers, Bushell. He is only 22. He's been putting up good numbers in A. He's only got 2-star potential, but with these ratings, could go a little higher. But again, they want Matsui and Lauki Jr. Lauki Jr. So one of the other things that I tend to notice, and I think this might not be new information to some people, but if there's guys like Lauki Jr. who are getting thrown into a lot of trade offers by the CPU, I would not be surprised to see his ratings jump up here in the near future. Sometimes it seems like they know something that you don't. And in fact, his ratings have already gone up here slightly. He's got high work ethic too, so he might be one to watch. In terms of this return, though, I'm good. Yeah, not a very exciting trading deadline day. We'll see. We got one more potential offer coming in here, and it is for... Oh, we got a few. All right. Cologne for Church and Encarnacion. Yeah, no, that's an immediate reject. Okay. That is at least interesting. Crisantes. He's one of the guys we just got from Minnesota. But Guanipa or Wanipa is 22. Doesn't have a whole lot of potential left to reach, but and Torreira's kind of whatever, but let's see the other offers here. Jimmy Lloyd, 20-year-old shortstop. Ooh, very bad personality traits, though. These guys that have low in multiple categories tend to be kind of clubhouse cancer kind of guys. I don't... Yeah, I'm not going to do that deal. And then Flores, I'm not interested in trading for Church. So going back to this trade, at this point, because it is the final trade deadline day, I pretty much have to do what they offer. I can roll the dice and see what I've got with Church, or I can go younger with Guanipa. And Church is a free agent too, so I'd have to re-sign him. want to see some of my other trade deadline offers for Church, because that is something I didn't really. I mean, Caraballo is the other interesting offer here. Hewer and Lara were kind of interesting, but not incredibly interesting. Okay, so I think I've got a minute and 30 seconds. I think Guanipa is interesting enough. I lose Crisantes as well. Yeah, and I can't adjust this at all, so it's either all or nothing. I mean, Crisantes. 46 seconds. All right, or Caraballo would be the other. And he's put up bad numbers. All right, let's just do it. Crisantes is almost 24. Guanipa still, he's not going to come up and play right away, but with Church being a free agent next year, he's probably not someone I bring back. So, all right, let's do it. Just to have some trade deadline action with 5 seconds left. 4, 3, and we'll complete it right at the trade deadline. All right. So, where do we stand now? We just traded Church. Guanipa's going to start in AAA. That's fine. Torero, I don't care about. And go ahead and finish going to August 1st. Kinney wins Rookie of the Month. He's done well. Nothing. Zanatello continuing to develop a little bit, which is nice. Like to see that. Yeah, Cooper Kinney has been the best hitter on our team. And as we go into August, let's see. So we started off the year pretty badly. You can see May, June, July, 15 losses in every month, kind of getting a little worse as the year goes on. Are we still the worst team in baseball? We are now tied with the Mets for being the worst team in baseball. Which, I'll take. We were on pace at the All-Star break to lose 100 games. We'll kind of see as I'll go through here and make sure none of these guys. Abernathy I might keep. The rest of these guys. Neely I might keep. Estevez is only 21. Okay, so Camejo. Fouch. Sedano. At least those guys. The other guys can stay for now. We'll go ahead and sim out the rest of the year. I'll probably come up update at September 1st just so we can see who we want to call up for the expanded rosters. But this team is not making the playoffs, so should be a pretty short rest of the episode here. All right, it is now August 31st, about to have roster expansion here. We are 57 and 76. You can see we played just above 500 ball in August, which is, some slight signs of improvement. Not much to point out here other than Kinney continuing to do well. He'll likely be back on this team next year. Sanoha, our hitting overall is still not great. We're still, not doing well. Starter ERA has gone down quite a bit as well. Jackson Ferris, unfortunately, has cooled off a little bit from his pace before the All-Star break. You could see his last two games have not gone well at all, but still a good season overall for him. We'll look at bringing up from AAA. Rosters expand to 30, so we'll do two pitchers and two batters. Our batters are going to be Cutter Coffee. Has had a good season in AAA. He deserves some playing time in the majors to kind of see what we've got with him. And Arenado hopefully will bring in some fans for the last month of the season. He's been a trooper playing the entire season in the minors so far, and why not bring him up and let him play for the last month of the season? He likely won't be back next year. Pena, who we got in a trade with Houston, has continued to pull up solid numbers. I want to see what he does in the majors. Oviedo and Rodriguez have both had some time in the majors already and haven't impressed with that really so far. So we'll go with that. And then Bello will get a few starts to end the year as well, just to see. Hopefully that will spur on a little bit of additional development. Given how he's done, he'll probably start the year in the minors next year, barring some crazy ratings jumps or something. Yeah, he is still our top prospect. Actually, let me confirm that is still true. Player development, well, they haven't updated the minors yet to reflect our draft picks, but we can run through. Some of those guys have seen playing time. Quick update on some guys. Gavin Jones, who we got in a trade, has done well at AA. He'll get bumped up to AAA once some of these other guys get called up. Martinez has struggled a little bit at A+, but still solid, and he's still only 21 years old. I'll probably leave him at A+. To start the season next year. At A-ball, some of our top draft picks. Sharpton came in and did really well in A. He'll get bumped up to A+ to start the next season. Maybe even get a little bit of time at AA here at the end of the year. How many more games do they have to play? Yeah, they've got a few more games left to play, so we'll give them a little bit of time at AA maybe. Yeah, let's do that now. Gerhardt, solid, but not spectacular. He'll likely continue to play in A. Schrader was a 13th round pick, but decent ratings, and he's done decent in A. And Rangel, who we got in a trade with Baltimore, has done well in A. So I'll bump him up to high A here to start the next season. And then rookie ball, I don't think most of these guys have played at all. You can see we've now got a decent stack of players at our rookie league ball level. So I'm interested to see how these guys do to start next season. Some of these guys will likely throw in the development lab. Rainville is one who we want to improve that control if he has any chance of doing anything. But yeah, we will go ahead and finish today and bring up those guys that I just talked about. As we see Montero continuing to improve a little bit, which is nice. He's been solid, but not spectacular. Just under 5 ERA is not the best, but there's been several pitchers on our team that have done worse. So, yeah, I don't necessarily mind that at the moment. Yeah, and we will bring up Coffee, Arenado, and Pena and Bello. Yeah, and sometimes it glitches out like that. Okay, so probably just sim to the end of the year here. Again, this is not a playoff team, so not much to look forward to in the last month of the season. But I will go ahead and sim out the last month so we can see kind of how things end up and kind of go over the season overall. All right, it is now the last day of the season. We finish 69 and 93, which I consider a mild success, I guess. One, we are not the worst team in baseball. That honor goes to the Mets, who finished 64 and 98. And two, we did not lose 100 games on the season. So, that's about the only positive we could take away from the season. There weren't a lot of high expectations going in, though. Yeah, going through our roster here as the season comes to a close. Jackson Ferris finishes with 3.3 WAR on the season. He had a bit of a rough time towards the end of the year, but still a really good season overall for him. He started 35 games, was easily the best pitcher on our team. Sinja continued to do well in the closer role. He'll be back next year, most likely. Snelling, solid starter. Might look to bring him back as a starter next year as well. Montero did okay. Gibson finished the year okay as a starter. And then Bello came in, and you can see his potential's gone down a little bit. His stamina also dropped. But, did okay. His overall is up to 2.5 stars. He'll likely start the season in AAA next year, come up for spring training, and then, play a little bit in the minors before hopefully coming up and joining Ferris in our rotation. Pena as well. He had some injuries throughout September, so he didn't pitch a whole lot, but he was solid. He's good depth. And Matsui also had a little bit of injury issues, but I think he'll be back as well. He'll cost, $3 million? Actually, less than that now, to bring back in arbitration, so I don't mind doing that. Even if he is 32 and will probably decline a little bit, he still had a good season for us. And then our lineups, if we sort by WAR, Kinney was the best player on our team. He will be our starting first baseman next year, barring, I'll probably try to improve his defense a little bit. Maybe he could play a little second. Maybe he could play a little outfield if we cross-train him a little bit. Yeah, but he's the best bat on our team. Acuna ended the year hot, ending with 2.5 WAR. And we put him as a backup first baseman. It looks like he got a little bit of time there. Yeah, one game at first base. So, I'll cross trade him at third too, just because we've got Zanatello and Santana who project as better second baseman overall. Mooney came on strong as well, and he is probably worth bringing back. He was a Rule 5 pick who played the entire year for us, so we've got some flexibility when it comes to him. Santana came up, played 100 games for us, and put up 2.3 WAR. Fielding stats, yeah, it's 13.9 ZR, which is great. That's what you want from your starting shortstop. And do I have ZR? No, I don't on our leaderboards. I do like to see that. So let's throw that on here real quick. Just because I'm curious who the best defenders are. Oh yeah, Michael Harris, the best defender in baseball probably in this sim, and Volpe. Volpe is an elite defender for the Yankees as well. Yeah, speaking of Michael Harris, he had a monster year, continued that pace from where he was last at the All-Star break when we last checked on him. Finished the year with 10.5 WAR, over 1,000 OPS. He's going to win MVP, barring something crazy happening. And then, Holiday came on strong to pass Carter. He'll probably also win the MVP. In terms of overall standings, let's look at our playoff teams here. Rangers and Orioles finished as the top two teams of the AL. Braves and Rockies, top two teams of the NL. And Mariners, Tigers, Red Sox, D-backs of the AL. D-backs, again, are in our division and actually came on a bit stronger to finish the season 88-44. Better record than the Tigers, who won the AL Midwest. Rangers came just shy of winning 100 games. They project to be probably the best team in the league. Braves, best record in the NL with 94 games. Expos, only one game behind them, but have to settle for a wild card spot. It's a rough break for them because they would have won any other division in the NL, but forced to settle for that wild card. Giants grabbed the other wild card spot. So let's go ahead and sim through the playoffs here, and we'll see kind of what happens here. All right, so we have the Pirates upset the Expos in round one, and the Brewers beat the Giants, and over in the AL, the Tigers beat the Mariners, and the Red Sox, unsurprisingly, beat the D-backs. And let's see our next playoff round. This one is a best of 5. So the Orioles-Tigers series goes the full 5 games, with the Orioles coming out on top. The Red Sox upset the Rangers to move on to the ALCS. The Braves and Rockies, unsurprisingly, top 2 teams in the NL, are going to face off in the NLCS. So who will make it to the World Series? It's the Rockies and the Orioles. This is an interesting, the NLCS went the full 7 games. Let's see if there were any interesting ones in here. 7-5. Braves tried to make a comeback in the 9th inning, but couldn't quite pull it off. Ooh, and they had Spencer Strider get injured while pitching in Game 7 for them. Brutal break, assuming he's still their ace. Let's see here. Oh, they have Grayson Rodriguez now. He's likely their ace, but Strider is likely one of their best starting pitchers, still putting up, started 24 games for them. Forced to go to the bullpen, who couldn't quite pull it off. But the Rockies make it to the World Series, and will they win their first World Series against the Orioles, who I think are also still winless in the World Series? So someone will win their first World Series in this sim here. So let's go ahead and sim until the next playoff round. And the Orioles come out on top against the Rockies. This is a terrible score. What do you want me to do? All right, we'll start going through the off season in the next episode. We'll look to keep looking to the future. Got International Free Agent Showcase coming up in a few days, but this will be it for the 2028 season. It's been a rough season, but we can only go up from here, I assume. So I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.